Fixing the United States' $36.7 trillion national debt usually involves complex, decades-long economic restructuring. But Warren Buffett once suggested a much faster alternative. He claimed he could fix it in 5 minutes. That old 2011 proposal recently went viral again, catching the attention of Elon Musk, who responded with 5 words of total agreement: 100%. This is the way. This chart shows the total U.S. national debt in nominal dollars, and the trajectory reveals a severe acceleration. We are rapidly approaching $40 trillion, and the politicians steering the economy are letting it happen. When the legislative process stops functioning, radical billionaire interventions provide the only structural alternative to total economic collapse. Buffett himself has pointed out that because Washington refuses to cut spending, the most likely outcome for the average citizen is a massive tax hike to cover the shortfall. This chart shows the Social Security Trust Fund ratio, highlighting a demographic disaster. Reserves keeping the system afloat will run completely dry by 2033. If lawmakers fail to intervene, federal law requires an automatic 23% cut to retirement benefits. Unchecked government spending has a direct mathematical consequence. It translates dollar for dollar into a poorer, less secure future for the working class. Buffett's 5-minute legislative fix works like an automatic tripwire. If the federal deficit ever exceeds 3% of the national gross domestic product, all sitting members of Congress instantly become ineligible for re-election. Think of that 3% threshold in terms of a household budget. It is the equivalent of earning $50,000 a year but spending $60,000, and permanently rolling the remaining balance onto a high-interest credit card. In 2024, the United States deficit hit 6.3% of GDP. That is more than double Buffett's proposed emergency cutoff. If Buffett's rule were enacted today, nearly every single lawmaker on Capitol Hill would be fired. Applying a private sector performance metric to Congress instantly reveals the staggering scale of their financial mismanagement. This chart exposes a massive leak in the federal budget. The United States now spends over $1 trillion annually just on interest payments. This compounding interest acts as a trap, competing directly with discretionary funding needed for infrastructure, defense, and healthcare. The reason politicians refuse to balance the books is a basic behavioral incentive. The current system rewards them with re-election when they spend money on their constituents, and punishes them at the ballot box when they enforce austerity. Buffett's plan flips that dynamic entirely. It forces lawmakers to make a direct choice between their career survival and unchecked spending. Senator Mike Lee is currently drafting a constitutional amendment to enforce this exact rule, complete with an added trigger for high inflation. So let us know in the comments, would you vote to fire Congress for overspending? This $36.7 trillion national debt represents the predictable, intended result of a broken behavioral incentive system. There is an obvious structural flaw in this plan. To enact it, Congress would have to vote to fire itself, making the legislation politically toxic. Pushing this through requires clearing severe constitutional hurdles, including a 2/3 majority vote in both chambers and ratification by 3/4 of all states. Critics also warn that imposing a rigid financial threshold could force rapid austerity measures, triggering severe policy volatility and harming vulnerable populations that rely on federal social programs. Any system designed and maintained by politicians will inherently fight back against mechanisms that threaten their consolidated power and job security. Despite the near political impossibility of passing it, top business minds like Musk and Buffett are amplifying this proposal because the status quo is leading directly toward national insolvency. The U.S. debt crisis stems from a catastrophic failure of accountability, where the public carries all the risk while politicians retain all the power. Will this viral movement actually force Washington to surrender its power, or will the $40 trillion debt bomb detonate first? Subscribe to follow the shifting Overton window, and we'll see you in the next video.